asking. If you had the ability to introduce one piece of legislation as a city council person, and you could guarantee that it's going to get signed into law, what would that legislation be? Why don't we start with Mr. Hankins?
I think the first bill that I would support and sponsor would be a bill to eliminate abandoned buildings and housing in our community. That an individual who will own a property will have only 1 year to repair that property, or that property will go to the city.
All right, I want to follow up on that with you. Now, how are you going to choose which houses get that treatment?
Okay. I think that what I would do first, the priority would be buildings that have been sitting for over 5 years, that's abandoned, that's run down, that the windows are broken, the owner clearly is not there, it's trash and litter all over. There's houses also in the same condition. Those houses would be the houses that I would work with the community to identify and ask the owner to either fix it up and or the city would take it from them.
Okay, very good. Mr. Jones?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is focus on a holistic probation and parole reform bill. 80% of the homicides last year either folks are on probation, parole, or at least been arrested one time. So I think it says a lot about crime and safety issues. The fact of the matter is, most of the folks who are continuously repeat offenders are actually going in the system at some point. The system has failed. So these are generally not new folks who are committing crimes. So it does a couple things. One, it addresses the offenders who obviously are part of the crime and safety issue in neighborhoods. Two, it also talks a lot about what we do about our resources in terms of really making sure those folks are getting the kind of needs met. And I think thirdly, most important, folks think about jobs and education in terms of if they're going to relocate, but also the number one factor is also crime. So if you take care of that particular issue, you're actually taking care of issues of economic stability, of family stability, and also job stability.
All right. Follow up to you, sir.
Yes.
How do you pay for something like that?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that you do. Well, first, I think we need to look at broadening from our Homeland Security fund issues of crime and safety. I think we've put ourselves in the box, so to speak, to think that we can just address these issues here within the city. We really can't. So these are issues that have a federal impact in terms of services and also in terms of funding. So I think if we broaden the scope in terms of Homeland Security, make it more of a neighborhood homeland issue, then I think we can talk about finding some funds to pay for that.
Very good. Ms. Tasco, what would be the one bill you'd put in that would get signed into law?
Well, speaking from the perspective of a district council person and what I hear whenever I go to community meetings, the bill that I hope to pass will be the bill that would help neighbors repair their driveways. Now, to some of you, that may not be important, but to my district, that is the most important thing I hear, and the one thing I hear when I'm in my neighborhood. And we do hope, we have a bill in, and we do hope to get it passed.
I find it a little bit fascinating that we just ranged from probation through
It is
abandoned houses
fascinating.
and driveways.
I'm fascinated.
I respond to the needs of my constituents.
Well, what I want to drill down on that.
That's the built-in question.
Yeah, I want to drill down on that just a second, because I think that shows something of the scope of what a city council person has to do. Let me ask this. Let's keep it in the realm of development. Could each of you describe the most critical need? We'll leave driveways, since that's been addressed, we'll put that aside for now. The most critical need in the 9th District for economic or neighborhood development. We'll also leave abandoned houses to the side when that's been addressed. What else is there that must be addressed? And we'll start with Mr. Jones.
Well, what about knocking on doors? Folks say a couple of things. One is the quality of life issues that are a major concern in the Councilmanic district. It's a very diverse district, a beautiful district, and a wonderful district to to bring up your children and your family. That's why we moved there. But what has happened over the last 10 or 15 years is you've seen a sort of change at the edges. You've seen, people who are struggling in terms of, taking care of their home and the responsibilities surrounding that. You've also seen an influx of, folks who feel put upon by neighbors who are not really been part of the long-term culture of keeping up neighborhoods and keeping up their property and so on. So you have this kind of tension going on between new neighbors who have come in the last 5 or 7 years and some folks who have been there for many years. So I think issues of livability, quality of life issues, whether it range from truancy issues to loitering issues that really affect the quality of life of everyday people, I think is one of the major concerns that have tonight.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time's up. Ms. Tasco, the #1 community or neighborhood development need in the 9th District?
Well, it's very difficult to say any one need. There are many needs, and they tend to blend. If you really want to go to the heart of providing support to neighbors in the community to stabilize their property. The neighborhoods, you have a lot of senior citizens on fixed income. How do we help them stabilize their property, fix up, paint up? Again, going through the neighborhoods, I agree with Ray on the diversity of the community. We need to look at how we help these new neighbors become empowered and blend in and become strong neighbors and partners in the community. But I think the whole issue of stabilization, commercial part of development, which will help stabilize the community.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Hankins.
I agree that the district, first of all, is too large. And I commend the councilwoman for preventing that. Having been through the district, it depends on where you are. If you're in Logan Island, it's a different need. If you're in Fifth Ward, it's a different need. But to talk in general, I would say that economic development needs to take place in all of those areas. I've seen abandoned stores and blowed up stores. And I think that what we need to do is look at actually bringing in businesses and having the city planning commissioner meet with the residents in each of the districts and take it from the city planning commissioner and the commerce department. And let's utilize the resources that's already there and have the community involved in that.
Okay, very good.